Oh, you're gonna love today. I decided we're gonna go with modern day predictions. And of course, you know who I'm relying on, Dolores Cannon and Edgar Cayce. We're gonna talk about, again, what they said about predictions. I'm going to talk about current predictions. I'm going to tell you one that just came out that could shock the heck out of you. I'm also going to share with you, toward the end of this video, a prophetic dream that I had last night. I did the research today on modern day predictors, psychics, whoever, call them what you want, and mine aligned exactly with one of these predictions, which was freaky. What is that? Let's explore it. Let's talk about the modern day predictions for 2026. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through the fear and live an amazing life. Many of you on here, you're in an awakened state or on your way. That's what you want. You're striving for that, but there's probably still some fear. I know, because it's part of the human condition. I take predictions to show you that not only most of them don't come true, but that pretty much all of these psychics and predictors, prophecies have said the identical thing. Now, you know what it is if you've been watching my videos, but it doesn't mean some of these things won't happen. I want to share with you what they said about what's coming up. We're going to compare them. And I have a follow-up video that you're going to love. I'm going to share with you a little secret about all of these videos. So make sure that you tune into part two. I hope that you'll subscribe, of course. Give me a like. Click that button to see what that next video is coming up. And also, you want to join my membership? I got all kinds of cool stuff in the description, and I got some free things. And I'm opening up what's called the Conscious Creators Vault, because I'm going to help you to change anything in your life, any area of it. I'm going to announce that in my email list. So make sure you sign up if you're not already, because we're going to talk about creating our future. So predictions about the future, they're often a blend of, the ancient lore with modern anxieties. So as we move into 2026, several modern psychics that I chose, one of which I've never heard of, all of them, if you've noticed, have updated their visions to address the current global climate. Why are they doing that? Because it changes. Why does it change? Because we're doing it. We're in control. We're starting to realize that. That's a little bit of my secret that's going to be in part two. So here's some notable predictions from figures who are either currently active or have had a lasting impact through their followers. A couple of these are not here, and we've talked about them before. Let's talk about Athos Salome. I have a tendency not to mention him, the living Nostradamus. I find it a little bit strange, but let's talk about that. He's getting some attention. I'm not sure why, but he's a Brazilian psychic. He gained fame for claims regarding the COVID-19. Hello, been watching my videos? You know I did that too. Pandemic and the death of Queen Elizabeth II. He's issued specific warnings for 2026. Let's talk about them. Solar storms. He's predicted a massive solar storm hitting Earth between March 12th and 15th, 2026. So this is coming up, right? Which could cause widespread power grid failures. Big whoop. It could take out the power for a while. So that's not really that exciting. But let's talk about conflict hotspots. He identifies the Arctic and the Sahel region of Africa as the next major flashpoints for global conflict between superpowers, Russia, NATO, and China, over resource shipping routes. Now, pay attention to the global conflict that I say about each one of these. Take note, and we'll compare them at the end. AI surge. He warns of AI surpassing human control in 2026, leading to a new form of cyber warfare. Oh, there's crazy stuff going on all the time. Anyways, I think that's the least of our worries. Now, we're going to go to, I'm not going to give him a lot of attention, but we're going to go to a guy who I've never heard of, Joseph Tittel. Tittel? I hope I'm getting that. The bringer of light. Okay, he's a modern psychic medium known for his yearly world predictions. Tittel focuses heavily on natural shifts and political upheaval. Well, that's another one that's pretty easy to predict, right? We're going to have issues and conflict. Shocker, I was right. Geological activity for 2026. He predicted a significant increase in volcanic activity and earthquakes. Yeah, okay, I can predict that too. Specifically mentioning a ring of fire event that could impact Japan and the west coast of the US. A ring of fire event. What could that be? A little cryptic. Now, I'm going to share something that he said that blew my mind. Visions of black clouds. He has recently spoken of a large black cloud over Europe and the Middle East, which he interprets as a period of intense mourning, like mourning, or specific environmental event. This is what I want to share with you. I have extremely vivid dreams they're real. I mean, I'm there. And last night I was part of a team that basically controlled things in a positive way, sort of a peacekeeper kind of thing. But, we were a force that had to be trained. We broke through into this big, huge room, and we were all trained to do certain things. I was trained to go up on these parachutes. And so they said, are you trained in this? Yes. So there are two of us. We got behind this like plane that lifted us, and we were on these parachutes going through, and we went into the most bizarre looking black cloud I have ever seen. I'm telling you, it was weird. It was so weird. And I said, the pilot says, he can hear us, do you want me to turn around? I said, yeah. And I said, wait, wait. No, because it was coming in and it was so weird and just really crazy looking. I said, I could see a break and it was all blue skies. I said, keep going. We're going to go past it before it hits whatever. And so we went past it and we went into the blue skies. And I don't know what happened, but then I get up and I see the visions of black clouds. Take note of that. I don't know what it means. So here's the thing, like with Nostradamus and all of these seers, they don't always know how to interpret what they're seeing. They just have to tell you and just step off and not try to interpret it sometimes. So Tittel often admits that he can jumble timelines. So we just had a video on timelines because he receives information in snapshots rather than a linear narrative. That's the case with me. I just see things and I know things to tell you. This is why his followers often look for the events to happen, even if the exact month is slightly off. No one can know the date. Now, I know those of you who read about the February Edgar Cayce thing. What we're doing there, and by the way, I will always give you reading numbers from now on because I know it drives you nuts. There's a convergence. I'm taking events, astrological, solar readings, and I'm putting them into what's happening now, polar shift, all of it is converging right now, okay? And that's where we're getting most of our information from. I want to share something with you that's so important about these predictions I'm giving to you today. Look at the person delivering it. And if they leave things in a way that's so negative, they're actually facilitating that negative prediction. All right. Have you noticed what my channel's about? I keep telling you we can change it. There's nothing they say we can't change, but they're warnings. And this is why I share predictions with you. This could happen. This is a probability. This is a timeline if we don't change it. Edgar Cayce says, live as you pray. Don't just pray for it. You got to live it. My new program, the Conscious Creator Vault, is going to help you do that, okay? We got to work together on this. You're going to love it. I'm going to tell you about it later. So Tittel said there will be a breakdown of social order and the exposure of deep-seated corruption. He uses the phrase the year of the great unmasking to describe this period. Absolutely, that is happening. And I believe going into the higher frequency, as we are choosing, is bringing the garbage to the surface because the 3D ego-driven world cannot hide it anymore because we're demanding that we need to not only see it, but that we no longer accept it. We need to demand in a peaceful way. So he also said that the summer of 2026 will be a time of unprecedented heat, literally and figuratively. The prediction, he sees major cities, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Los Angeles, having uncontrollable protests. I don't know what that's about. There would be some issues, of course, that come from our institutions here that people are going to be very unhappy with. Did you like that? Huh? Yeah, I thought it'd get a little tricky today. The fall of two major figures. One of his specific and controversial predictions for 2026 involves the sudden exit of two prominent U.S. political leaders. Some of you, depending on which side you're on, going, yes, yes, no, no. We don't know who they are. He describes a sudden vacuum of power that occurs mid-year. So we got a few months to go here. He predicts that one leader will step down due to a massive health crisis that can no longer be hidden, while another will be forced out by a scandal involving whistleblowers. Oh, this is going to be interesting, but keep your eye on the ball. All right? We're not just sitting back as an audience. We are the actors, we are participants. So he also spoke of anger regarding banking institution, government building. People are going to have issues, and this anger is going to come out. We don't want to go into that space. When you go up to the penthouse and you go from the basement where you're just angry and blaming everybody, you go to the penthouse, you just see that everything is just an experience of individuals, and we don't want to attack that. All right. So we don't want to be the person that contributes to the same old behavior humans have, conducted it since eternity. We have to change that behavior. He described a vision of fences being torn down around a major federal building, which he interprets as the public literally breaking through the barriers of the old establishment. You can create whatever you want with that. Military presence on the street. Yep. It's already happening. The prediction, he says, National Guard or unmarked security forces to station at major intersections. Yeah, we already have that. So maybe this guy has a few things going for him. He said there'd be a new currency or a financial reset. We've heard that from many of these psychics. And he warned that by the end of 2026, the US dollar, as you know it, would be under extreme surgical repair. Well, that needs to be done. So I'm going to share with you again. I'm going to say it over and over, as did Cayce and Cannon. Yes, these structures don't work. We are not all abundant, and we could be. The system doesn't work. It's going to be a reset. He predicts a glitch in the banking system that will be used as an excuse to move the US into a central bank digital currency, which he warns will be met with massive resistance and further unrest. He says that 2026 will be a year where knowing your neighbor is more valuable than money in the bank. This is my message, and this is the message of the higher frequency. We are one, we must act as one, and our differences are our strength. Why? If we all were carpenters and nobody knew how to cook, right? This is why we all look different. We behave different. We have different personalities. It contributes to a beautiful whole if we celebrate it. Please, I beg you to look at your neighbor and see the light in them. You don't have to agree with them, and you don't have to argue. But here's the note. Here it comes. He often emphasizes that prophecy is not set in stone. Thank you. And that the collective vibration of humanity can soften these events. He views his role as a warning system to help people prepare. Thank you, Joseph Tittel. I'm not going to go read your stuff because I have my own stuff going on. I don't need to hear a prediction. I'm creating predictions, right? I'm creating a future, and I hope you'll join me. So a couple more things that he said. He said the UK, the United Kingdom, the 2026 will be the year the British monarchy faces its most existential threat. A double blow, one involving a health crisis for a major royal, another involving a massive public movement to dissolve the monarchy's funding. Wow. Yeah. Share the wealth. China and the watershed. Tittel sees China dealing with massive internal instability. He predicts that the earth will rebel there through catastrophic flooding. That's a new one. And the failure of a major dam system. No one's out of the clear here. Every single person on the planet will have challenges. It's not going to be one country or certain type of person. It's going to hit everybody because it is the era of evolution. And that's the whole point. So it's going to show up in different areas, but we can control it. When we go to high frequency, these things lessen. I promise you that. So the predictions don't come to fruition because the earth is now working with us if we respect her. Same thing with your own body. When everything's in check, you don't get sick, right? It just really is that simple, but we got to work on this. So internationally, he talks about right-wing surge across Europe, especially Germany and France, where the youth begin to take back their culture. He warns of fire in the streets of Paris, much more severe than previous riots, lasting for months in 2026. He's very specific. So take note of this. Let's see if it happens. I think a lot of times we hear stuff and we don't go back and check and say, hey, none of that happened. And if we're going to an era where we're saying, well, nothing really bad actually happened that was that terrible, guess what? That means we're raising our frequency. We're going into New Earth, or you are, because you're not experiencing that timeline. So you're going to want to hear this, the wealth transfer. He often speaks of a great wealth transfer, where those who've been spiritually prepared will find themselves in positions of abundance, while those who relied solely on the old system, stock markets, traditional banks, will lose significantly. He claims the lady, this is going to come into play with Bledsoe, the lady told him that the humble shall inherit the tools to rebuild. Interesting, isn't it? We hear about the meek shall inherit the earth. The humble shall inherit the tools to rebuild. What are the humble? The people who are not caught up in the material world. They are highly spiritual people that care about the quality of our life, and none of it has to do with things. But because we go into a space of community and giving, everyone in that spiritual space will be abundant because there will be giving. In the lower frequencies, it's about taking, hoarding, getting more, and ego's never satisfied. So we heard about Baba Vanga. She talks about alien contact happening this year, November 2026. Now, she didn't give exact dates either, but people are estimating things. I still think this relies on whether we're ready for it or not. If we're not ready for it, it will cause chaos, and that will not happen. No one will interfere with our free will. So when we become ready and we say, yes, wow, you have gifts and abilities and resources, come, we welcome you. Welcome to our planet, not like trying to shoot them out of the sky like we usually do. We talked about Craig Hamilton Parker, the prophet of doom. Who wants to be known as that? Be careful with that. When somebody is referred to as the prophet of doom, my question to you is, are they trying to scare you and they stop there? Because what I like about Tittel is he said, like Cayce and Cannon did, none of these things have to happen. We're totally in control. This is the warning of the path you're on right now. Taking a look at that mirror and saying we can change that and go into something completely different. And that is absolutely the truth because that is science. We are what we believe we are. And through those beliefs, we act different, right? We take action based on what we're believing. So take note of this one. We're going to start comparing this at the end of the year. He predicts a 2026 conflict involving Japan and China. Okay, wow, we got somebody saying these superpowers are going to be at it, these superpowers are going to be at it, and they're not the same ones. Saying Japan and China may start as a maritime accident, but escalates into a global economic blockade. That's pretty big. He also predicted medical breakthroughs. Well, we're always having those anyways. Now we're going to go into the one that is absolutely most important. I saw an interview on Sean Ryan, not my favorite channel. I don't watch his channel, but I happen to be interested in what Chris Bledsoe said about what's coming this year. He said dates, exact dates. I'm going to give them to you in the video I saw of him with Sean. He said it was the first time he actually gave details of what he was told by the lady that shares information with him about what's happening in the future. And he said, I feel good about disclosing this. It's the first time I've said it, and I'm going to share it with you today. Ooh, black hat, white hat. What does it mean? I don't know. It's cute. I liked it. So Chris Bledsoe, the Regulus alignment. We've talked about this briefly before. Chris Bledsoe talks about a new dawning, a new era based on this lady that comes and visits him. Now, if you don't know who he is, he supposedly got abducted over 20 years ago. And ever since then, he's had a horrible life because he's had visitations, he has orbs, he gets these messages, all this crazy stuff. And finally, after like 5 years of agony, this golden lady or lady of light comes to him and shares information and says, okay, we'll allow you to film us and we'll show up to prove to people that you're not a nut job. And also she shares information. pretty much right around Easter every year, she comes to him. Now, this is the information that she shared. The prediction in April 2026, the star Regulus will align on the horizon in front of the Sphinx in Egypt. He describes this as not as a literal end of the world, but as a shift into new knowledge. He suggests this could relate to a new era of human consciousness or a major revelation regarding UAPs, UFOs, and non-human intelligence. Now, what I saw on Sean Ryan's show is that he took that a step further because she did tell him other things that he'd refused to share. Why would you refuse to share? Because it's not good, right? He doesn't want to cause panic because, I don't know, he seems to be pretty legit. He's getting a lot of attention by people in NASA and Capitol Hill. Just some really higher ups are paying attention to him because he's doing some crazy stuff that's coming true, like healing people and things that you just can't make up. They've tested him. So whether you believe it or not, and he's really a religious person, so a lot of the way he talks is very religious. So that he gets criticized a lot for that, and I can see why, because for me, dogma is like sticking me in, don't stick me in a box. I think all things are possible. But he's a pretty cool guy, and he's quite peaceful. So he usually talks about UFOs and non-human intelligence and orbs and stuff. Now he's talking about, yep, he said it, the return of Christ. Sean Ryan point blank said, "Are you talking about the return of Christ?" He said, yes. He explicitly mentioned that the lady, the entity he communicates with, signaled the return of Christ and the end of an old way, Easter of 2026. Now, I've heard him waffle on those dates, but again, I'm not going to hold him to it because dates are connected to humanity and frequency. So you can't really be locked into anything if things out here aren't in alignment with that. The snuffing out. He claimed the entity told him that when the suffering of man becomes too great, they will stop it and snuff out the darkness. He interprets this as a divine intervention to reset the planet. That's all we've been talking about. And this is the year. And it's just the start. Because once we go through this progression, it's going to be a few years, we will then go into a golden era of apparently 1,000 years. The Sphinx gaze, he links this to the star Regulus, the heart of the lion, appearing in the gaze of the Sphinx. Regulus is the king star, and in biblical prophecy, the Lion of Judah, Christ, is often associated with the constellation Leo. So I researched this. I asked about the actual alignment. And so the actual sky charts for that time, while Bledsoe's interpretation is spiritual, there are some objectively rare things happening in the sky during April 2026. He claims Regulus will appear red and align with the Sphinx just at dawn because it's a blue star. So for it to appear red, there would need to be significant atmospheric interference like dust or smoke or specific astronomical phenomenon. So that's possible. The position astronomically, Regulus does not rise directly in the gaze of the Sphinx in April. Because of the Earth's precession, the slow wobble, that specific alignment actually happened thousands of years ago and won't happen exactly that way again for a long time. However, there is a lunar occultation of Regulus on April 26, 2026, where the moon will pass directly in front of the star, a very striking visual event. And there will be a rare planetary parade where most all of the major planets, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Uranus, I'm a little older, I still say Uranus, cluster in the same sector of the sky. We know astronomically that things do affect us. It doesn't stop us from creating the realities that we want. It just gives us energy, challenges us. It's part of the program. When I talk to you guys about convergence, he's not the only one pointing to this state. It's become a big focal point as a perfect storm of three factors: the solar cycle, where it's solar maximum right now, the 2027 disclosure rumor that next year, supposedly, there's going to be a big disclosure. This is cited by former CIA officer John Ramirez. I have no clue who he is. And they're preparing for a major event in 2027. So 2026 is the eve of that, preparing for it. Biblical numerology, some scholars point to 2026 as being exactly 2,000 years since the start of Christ's ministry, estimated around 26 AD. So let's note that the apocalypse originally meant unveiling or revelation, not necessarily the end of the world. Even if the stars don't literally turn red, the psychological impact of so many people expecting a shift can often create its own kind of new world. Our expectations, our hope, our prayers, and living the prayer is what's going to change our future. All right? Now, what he said is pretty shocking, especially since he's never revealed this before. So I'll give you the Sean Ryan Show interview was episode number 165. It was entitled, "The Episode We Never Censored." The reason why is because they had to think twice about whether or not they were going to put that information out. Because originally they cut it out, they edited it because they thought it would be upsetting for people. So here are specific quotes. The snuffing out of darkness. Human suffering reaches a critical mass. And here's the quote. Suffering of man becomes too great. The divine or higher intelligence will intervene to snuff out the darkness. We're going to get help, apparently. This isn't necessarily a violent doomsday destruction of the planet, but a removal of the evil or darkness. So, I don't believe in a devil or some separate entity. That's all created too. That's all illusion too. You have to connect with it to be affected directly by it, because light is eternal. Nothing can penetrate it, but you have to go into light and know that darkness has no effect on you. But people go into fear and they experience it and they said, oh, it's evil, it's coming, I'm weak and I have no energy. I'm like, hey, there's good out there too. Are you focusing on that? He described it as a reset where the matrix, as he calls our physical reality, is adjusted. He tied the celestial alignment directly to biblical prophecy in a way that he hadn't done so explicitly in the past. He pointed Easter 2026 as the window for this event. He suggested that the return of Christ may not be a single man descending from the clouds, but a massive global consciousness event where everyone becomes aware of the divine presence at once. So for Chris, the lady that shared this information is essentially a divine messenger, like the Virgin Mary, but he says she represents all of the divine, whether it's Mary, where it's the hand of God, it is a messenger of light and love. She also might be just a super high level, a non-human intelligence. I think everything pretty much is. Why are we going to give this credibility? And as you know, I'm here to tell you that what you focus on is going to create that future. And even more so, if you don't like anything you're saying, I want you to focus on that which you want to live. This is the critical turning point right now, right? You guys have seen my book, right? There's a chapter called The Turning Point, and we're in it. And then the last chapter is called The Knowing. You go into a space where it's all going to be revealed to you. You're going to understand how all of this works. So people like Jim Semivan, a former CIA director of operations, and Dr. Diana Pasulka, she's a religious studies professor, really cool gal. Their perspective on this prediction is more focused on the legitimacy of the phenomenon itself rather than a literal endorsement of an apocalypse. And they're really interested in his ability to call in orbs and communicate with other beings and heal people. What is there to it? They've got a lot of witnesses. So all I'm saying is I believe anything is possible, and he comes in peace. All right. So that is probably our most dynamic current prophet, and he says it's not him. He's getting information from source, and I think we need to pay attention to that. This is a reoccurring pattern. Pasulka discussed how Bledsoe's visions of the lady align with historical accounts of Marian apparitions like Fatima. She views the 2026 date as part of a reoccurring pattern. We keep talking about this, done videos on these patterns where humanity undergoes a massive cultural or spiritual shift rather than a physical destruction of the planet. So let's not go into that space. So if you hear these things and somebody gives you a prediction and they're not finishing it up with, we can change anything, this is a good thing. It's a massively amazing, exciting time. They're going to challenge us. Why? Because we're going to step out of the same old that doesn't work, struggling to survive, always trying to get to some better place. And this is why we look up predictions, because we want it to be better, because we don't feel like it is okay. I want to see what's going to happen. We want the hope. You're creating the hope. I'm telling you that right now. And so I have something very important for you in my next video. It may shock you and it's going to make perfect sense. I think you're going to really love it. I got a lot of more information on all of these people, especially Tittel. I really looked him up. I wanted to know what his background was. And apparently, he had predicted Michael Jackson's death, the 2011 Japan earthquake, Trump's apprentice cabinet, where he'd be, naming new people all the time, and the global pandemic. Should we place our trust in these people all the time? No. We should use it as the warning sign of what we do or do not want. Have you noticed they're not all predicting these amazing, wonderful things, except for transformation? And with transformation comes chaos and some challenges. But they can be beautiful ones for you. Why? Because you're no longer going to stay in the things that you don't love. So, coming to that, I'm launching the Conscious Creator Vault. I decided to take all my teachings, chic sustainability, breakthrough fear, digital explorers, and we're going to put it under one vault where you can have a monthly membership. And with that membership, you will get trainings every month on how to actually live that life. Live as you pray. We're going to do it. So instead of you buying a course here, a master class here, you're going to get this every 30 days. You're going to get all this amazing information that you visit on your own pace. And I'm going to go live every month with you. So we're going to start to create that community that is so important. I hope you'll go down in the description, look at what's down there. I got a lot of cool stuff, including how to clean up your environment, your body. My book link is down there. And also free inspiration. Click it. You'll go into my newsletter that will announce all of these amazing things in the Conscious Creators Vault, how you can participate in that, because as of this video, it's going to be coming out within the next 30 days, and I'm very excited about that. I'm here to serve. And yes, I do this for a living. We have to separate this. Abundance and spiritual people don't go together. Of course they do. Source has no limits. It has no limits for you, and celebrates when you are abundant and happy and flourishing, because high level frequency people share. Right? They share. They don't need a lot of stuff. And so therefore, that's just the beautiful world that they create that people in lower frequencies have tried to dominate. That is going to collapse. But you have to participate in the higher frequency. No arguing, no buts on my channel. But Landria, they're doing this. No buts on my channel, except for this one. You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you. That was from the Master Key System. That can create miracles too. Everything can, because you are a co-creator, unlimited, perfect being. Namaste.